안녕하세요. 오늘 날씨 진짜 좋네요. 이런 날은 뭔가 좀 새로운 걸 배우고 싶은 그런 기분 안 드세요?
마침 저희가 지난 비트코인 서울 2025 컨퍼런스를 좀 되짚어 보는 시간을 준비했거든요. 그중에서도 이거 정말 흥미롭다 싶었던 세션이 하나 있었는데 오늘 청취자 여러분과 좀 깊게 파헤쳐 보려고 합니다.
네, 그 컨퍼런스 열기가 대단했죠.
맞아요. 그래서 혹시 아쉽게 참석 못하셨거나 아니면 그 내용 다시 한번 좀 들어보고 싶다 하시는 분들께 오늘 딱 좋을 것 같아요. 시작하기 전에 만약 가능하시다면 오늘 저희가 다룰 세션 관련 자료 있잖아요. 그걸 미리 한번 보시면 더 깊이 이해하시는데 도움이 될 거예요.
네, 같이 보면서 들으시면 훨씬 재밌으실 겁니다.
오늘 주제는 다음 세대를 위한 비트코인 세션인데요. 특히 엘살바도르의 그 청소년 비트코인 교육 모델하고 또 비트코인 비치의 순환 경제 구축 사례, 이 두 가지에 좀 초점을 맞춰볼까 합니다.
그 두 사례가 정말 인상 깊었죠?
자, 그럼 한번 제대로 파헤쳐 볼까요? 첫 발표자가 엘살바도르 미 프라이머 비트코인의 원리 벤지바르였잖아요.
네, 맞아요. 원리 벤지바르. 저는 이분 발표 들으면서 와, 이게 단순히 뭐 비트코인 어떻게 쓰는지 기술만 가르치는 게 아니구나 싶었어요. 그 돈이란 무엇인가? 이 질문부터 시작하더라고요.
그렇죠. 그게 핵심이었어요. 그러니까 기술 교육 이전에 금융 교육, 특히 기존 학교에서는 잘 안 가르쳐주는 돈의 본질, 역사, 어떻게 돌아가는지 이런 걸 이해시켜서 사람들한테 뭐랄까 경제적인 주체성을 돌려주자는 거죠. 비트코인을 그냥 투자 수단, 이게 아니라 기존 시스템에서 좀 벗어날 수 있는 도구, 심지어 자유로 보는 관점이 되게 흥미로웠습니다.
맞아요. 특히 내 돈 쓰는데 왜 은행 허락을 받아야 하냐 이런 현실 비판. 저 진짜 공감했어요. 그러면서 비트코인이 개인한테 어떻게 금융통제권을 돌려주는지 그 실제 사례 들었던 거 기억나세요? 어머니한테 급하게 비트코인 보내서 문제 해결했다는 그 다니엘 학생 이야기요.
네네. 그 사례. 정말 강력했죠. 이게 그냥 이론이 아니라 실제 삶의 문제를 해결하는 모습이니까요.
바로 그거죠.
그리고 이 프로그램이 그냥 엘살바도르에서만 하는 게 아니라 그 오픈소스 커리큘럼으로 만들어서 벌써 전 세계 37개국 이상으로 퍼져나가고 있다는 점. 이것도 주목해야 해요.
와, 37개국이요?
네. 이게 뭐랄까 비트코인 노드 네트워크처럼 각 지역 사정에 맞게 현지인이 현지인을 가르치는 식으로 완전 탈중앙화된 방식으로 퍼지고 있다는 거예요. 풀뿌리 운동처럼요. 그래서 계속 강조했던 게 기술 전파가 중요한 게 아니라 역량 강화, 그러니까 사람들에게 힘을 실어주는 거. 그게 진짜 목표라고 했어요.
역량 강화. 단순히 기술을 쓰는 걸 넘어서는 거네요.
그렇죠. 단순 채택과는 완전 다른 차원의 이야기인 거죠.
다음 발표는 비트코인 비치 공동 창립자 마이크 피터슨이었죠.
네, 마이크 피터슨. 또 다른 흥미로운 사례였어요.
엘살바도르의 그 작은 해변 마을 엘 존테잖아요. 거기서 어떻게 비트코인 기반의 순환 경제가 시작됐는지 되게 생생하게 들을 수 있었는데 저는 주민 90%가 은행 계좌가 없던 곳에서 시작됐다는 게 진짜 놀랍더라고요.
맞아요. 그 배경 자체가 정말 드라마틱하죠. 피터슨이 강조했던 건 비트코인을 받자마자 바로 달러로 바꾸는 게 아니라 비트코인 자체가 그 지역 경제 안에서 계속 돌고 도는 순환 경제를 만드는 게 중요하다는 거였어요.
순환 경제요? 그게 정확히 어떤 개념이죠?
그러니까 비트코인이 외부, 예를 들어 달러 같은 명목화폐로 바로 빠져나가지 않고요. 그 지역 상점이나 주민들 사이에서 물건 사고 서비스 이용하는 데 계속 쓰이는 시스템을 말하는 거죠. 재밌는 건 처음에 기부자가 비트코인을 달러로 바꾸지 말라는 조건을 걸었는데 그게 오히려 이 순환 경제를 만드는데 중요한 계기가 됐다는 거예요.
그런 비하인드가 있었군요.
네, 그래서 이 프로젝트는 몇 가지 핵심 원칙이 있는데 현실 문제 해결에 집중하고 방금 말한 순환성을 지키고 그리고 오직 비트코인만 사용하는 것, 비트코인 올리 이런 원칙들이 있었죠.
크게 생각하지 말고 작게 시작하라. 이 조언도 되게 현실적으로 들렸어요.
맞아요.
넓은 지역 상점 다 설득하는 것보다 그냥 한 거리 상점들부터 비트코인 받게 하는 게 순환 고리 만드는 데는 훨씬 효과적이다. 이런 이야기였죠.
그렇죠. 아주 실용적인 접근법이죠. 그리고 신뢰할 수 있는 현지 팀을 꾸리는 거, 또 처음에는 기술 장벽 낮은 커스터디얼 라이트닝 지갑 같은 거 활용하라는 조언도 되게 구체적이었고요.
커스터디얼 라이트닝 지갑. 사용하기 좀 더 쉬운 거 말씀하시는 거죠?
네, 맞아요. 개인이 직접 키 관리하는 부담 없이 쓸 수 있는 거예요. 또 하나 흥미로웠던 건 비트코인을 커뮤니티에 그냥 나눠주는 게 아니라 주입하는 방식에 대한 고민이었어요.
주입이요?
네. 예를 들면 그냥 공짜로 주는 게 아니라 뭐 지역 청소 같은 활동을 하면 그 대가로 비트코인을 주는 식으로요. 사람들이 이걸 벌었다고 느껴야 그 가치를 제대로 알고 쓰게 된다는 거죠.
아, 그냥 주는 게 아니라 가치를 교환하게 만드는 거군요.
그렇죠. 경제 활동이랑 연결시키는 거예요. 그리고 이런 성공 사례를 잘 포장해서 마케팅을 통해 알리고 다른 커뮤니티로 확산시키는 파급 효과도 중요하게 보더라고요.
와, 오늘 엘살바도르 두 사례를 쭉 들어보니까 비트코인이 정말 단순한 디지털 자산, 뭐 투자 대상, 이걸 넘어서는구나 싶어요. 교육이나 커뮤니티를 통해서 진짜 사회 변화를 이끌어내는 강력한 도구가 될 수도 있겠다는 생각이 드네요.
네, 저도 그 점에 깊이 공감했습니다.
청취자 여러분은 어떤 점이 가장 흥미로우셨나요? 저는 개인적으로 그 금융교육을 통해서 사람들한테 힘을 실어주려는 그 진정성, 그 열정에 되게 감동받았어요.
저 역시 이 두 프로젝트가 보여준 어떤 장기적인 비전, 그리고 아래로부터의 변화를 만들어가려는 그 접근 방식 자체가 되게 인상 깊었습니다. 기술 그 자체에 매몰되는 게 아니라 이 기술로 사람들 삶을 어떻게 진짜 좋게 만들 수 있을까? 이걸 고민하는 모습이 보였죠. 그래서 마지막으로 이런 질문 한번 던져보고 싶네요. 만약 여러분이 계신 커뮤니티에서 비트코인 같은 기술을 활용해서 좀 긍정적인 변화를 만들어 본다면 아주 작은 거라도 무엇부터 한번 시작해 볼 수 있을까요?
와, 정말 좋은 질문인데요. 한번 생각해 볼 만한 문제인 것 같습니다. 오늘 저희가 나눈 이야기가 청취자 여러분께도 새로운 생각거리를 던져드렸기를 바랍니다.
네, 그러셨기를 바랍니다.
다음에 더 흥미로운 주제로 다시 찾아뵙겠습니다. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine being right there, feeling the buzz at Bitcoin Seoul 2025. It really wasn't just about, charts and prices. It felt different. It was about real people, real stories, people actually building the future, like from the ground up. So today, we want to take you back to that conference atmosphere. We're going to focus on a couple of sessions that really seem to capture the heart of this whole movement. Yeah, this deep dive is especially for those of you who maybe couldn't make it to Seoul. Or, hey, even if you were there, maybe you want to revisit some of the really key lessons, the important stuff. Our mission here is pretty simple. Pull out the most important nuggets, the surprising insights from two, I think, foundational presentations. First, we'll get into how Bitcoin is genuinely changing lives through education. We'll look really closely at the My Primer Bitcoin program. And then we'll jump into the story of Bitcoin Beach. Just fascinating how they built a circular economy pretty much out of nothing.
Yeah, and what's so interesting, what really struck me is how these two things, education and the circular economy, they seem distinct, right?
Yeah.
But they actually feed into each other. They reinforce each other in really powerful ways. When you connect it to the bigger picture, I mean, it really shows the tangible potential of Bitcoin way beyond just speculation. It really boils down to empowerment, self-sovereignty for individuals, for whole communities.
Okay, so let's kick things off then. My Primer Bitcoin, Wally Benjivar, the director, he started his talk by asking, well, it sounds like a simple question. What is money? But here's where it gets really interesting, really thought-provoking. He pointed out how, traditional schooling, even in rich countries, right, it teaches us how to count money or maybe how to use it at the shop.
Right.
But, and this is the key bit, it almost never teaches us how money's actually created or how it's, manipulated or maybe most importantly, who controls it.
That is such a critical point, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
if you don't have that fundamental understanding, well, then the people who do understand it, who do control it, they effectively control your future.
Yeah.
And Bikranjevar put it so well. He said, money, ultimately, it represents your time and energy.
Mm.
And when you think about it like that, wow, you definitely wouldn't want to just hand over your most valuable asset, your time and energy, to a system that just chips away at its value through inflation.
Right, exactly. It forces you to run faster just to stay put. It feels inherently unfair. And that's where El Salvador's move, making Bitcoin legal tender, that created this just incredible, unique opportunity. My Primer Bitcoin saw it not just as, a new currency. They saw a chance to teach a whole country how money really works from scratch.
Yeah, they put together this this curriculum, 10 chapters. Really comprehensive. And it's designed not just to show people, like, how to use a wallet, how to send Bitcoin. No, it goes deeper. What money is, how it works, and how it's made. It's about understanding value itself and, crucially, how to protect your time, your energy from just being quietly eroded away.
And a huge part of that is the permissionless aspect of Bitcoin. That's like the cornerstone of the financial freedom it offers. Benjibar shared this amazing story about a student, Daniel, 20 years old. Daniel needed to get money to his mom for an emergency. They live hours apart. But he sent Bitcoin, and it was like lightning fast.
Wow.
No bank needed, no forms, no 3-day waiting period, no asking permission to move his own money. It just worked.
That's powerful. And there was another great story, too, about Louis Satoshi. He's a local pastor. Apparently, he was a huge Bitcoin skeptic at first, like really against it.
Yeah.
So much so, he actually started studying it because he wanted to disprove it.
No.
Yeah. But as he learned more, he got it. He understood its real purpose, as a neutral tool for exchanging value. And he went from trying to tear it down to becoming one of their dedicated teachers.
That says a lot. It really shows how understanding can completely flip your perspective.
Yes.
Skepticism to advocacy.
Totally.
And what's maybe even more amazing is that this isn't just happening in El Salvador anymore, right? Their whole curriculum, it's open source, anyone can use it, adapt it. It's already been translated into, what, over 30 languages?
Over 30, yeah. And it's being actively used in more than 37 countries now, all over the globe.
Wow.
And the structure they've built for this is also really smart. They call it their node network. It's not some top-down thing where head office dictates everything. No, it's totally bottom-up.
Yeah.
The idea is local people teaching locals. They share what works, what doesn't, adapt the material for their own community's context. So you might have someone in, say, Kenya sharing tips with someone teaching in Canada. It's peer-to-peer education.
That's brilliant. How many nodes do they have?
Right now, they're operating with 61 light nodes and 7 full nodes, all based on, consensus and shared goals, decentralized, just like Bitcoin itself.
So, okay, let's zoom out for a second. What's the real driving force here? The core philosophy. Benjavar was really passionate about this. He made it clear. This movement is absolutely not about getting rich.
Right.
It's about empowerment. It's about giving financial control back to individuals. And he shared some personal motivation, too. He talked about seeing his own mother struggle her whole life, worked incredibly hard, but, never really got ahead, couldn't even afford a house in California where they lived. He said he just wants something better, something fairer for his own daughters, a world where they aren't stuck relying on a money system that constantly loses value.
That perspective is just so important because it really aims to change the foundation, how people relate to money. It's a conscious shift away from a system that kind of runs on debt and, that constant devaluation. It really underscores the need for collective action, for educating the next generation with real financial knowledge. Not just so individuals can get ahead, but for a fairer system overall, where your effort, your energy, isn't just quietly stolen by forces outside your control.
Okay, so from educating minds, let's switch gears a bit. Let's jump into this other experiment, this real-world community building a Bitcoin circular economy. This next deep dive takes us to El Zonte, El Salvador, the incredible story of Bitcoin Beach. Michael Peterson, the co-founder, shared this at Seoul. He painted this picture, right? El Zonte, small village. He said 90% of people there were unbanked.
90%, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus high murder rates, just a general sense of, hopelessness. And that's where Bitcoin Beach started. This was even before El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender. And the spark, the catalyst, was really unusual. They had a donor, an anonymous donor. And this donor insisted that the funds they gave for community projects could only be used in Bitcoin.
Ah, okay. So that forced their hand, in a way.
Exactly. It wasn't just theory. It forced the community to actually use Bitcoin as money day to day, not just cash it out immediately.
That makes sense. And Peterson's vision, from what you gathered, was pretty clear from the start.
Absolutely. He hammered this point home.
Yeah.
The focus was always on Bitcoin as money for freedom, not some get-rich-quick thing. He was actually pretty critical of parts of the Bitcoin space, the obsession with complex financial products, NFTs, things he felt distract from that core purpose.
Right. Freedom over just price appreciation.
Precisely. Then El Salvador adopts Bitcoin. Suddenly, the world is looking at El Zonte. Communities everywhere started calling them up, wanting to copy Bitcoin Beach, Colombia, South Africa, all over. Peterson realized pretty quick, look, we can't scale this by being the central command center telling everyone what to do.
Right. They wouldn't be very Bitcoin-like anyway.
Exactly. So, again, mirroring Bitcoin itself, they decided to decentralize the whole effort.
Okay. How did that work practically?
Instead of Bitcoin Beach guys flying around building projects, they focused on finding and empowering local leaders. People already trusted in those other communities.
Ah, leveraging existing trust. Smart.
Yeah. Bitcoin Beach provides the tools, the playbook, basically. But the effort, the drive, and critically the trust that has to come from the local team.
Makes total sense. Money is personal. You need to trust the people involved.
Peterson talked about looking for partners already doing good work, maybe youth programs keeping kids out of gangs or teaching skills like surfing. You build on that existing foundation.
Okay, so they decentralized the how. Did he lay out any core principles for what they're building, these circular economies?
He did. He called them bubbles-like, Bitcoin beach-like efforts. And he outlined 3 foundational principles. First, it must be physical real. This isn't about online groups. It's about real people interacting daily, building community in the physical world.
Okay, boots on the ground. Got it.
Second, it must stay circular. The whole goal is to keep the Bitcoin flowing within that local economy. Minimize cashing out back to fiat.
Right, building independence from the old system. True financial sovereignty. Not needing anyone's permission.
Exactly. And the third principle, which he really stressed, may be the most crucial for the long haul. It must be Bitcoin only.
Ah, interesting. No altcoins.
None. Focus purely on sound money. He said they faced technical challenges, especially early on with Lightning, but they stuck to it.
Why so strict on that?
He mentioned that many altcoins that were pushed on them early on, promising the world. Well, they just don't even exist anymore. Sound money principles matter.
Okay, that makes sense. So those are the 3 big foundations.
Yeah.
Did he get into more practical steps, like how someone listening might actually start building something similar?
He did. He gave 6 practical principles. Really useful stuff.
Okay, let's hear them.
First was motivation. The main driver has to be genuinely benefiting the local residents, solving their specific problems.
Right. So in El Zante, it was banking the unbanked. Elsewhere, maybe it's fighting inflation or enabling permissionless payments. Needs to be relevant locally.
Exactly. Second, the right team. Build deep trust. Partner with existing reputable local projects. He gave examples like the youth surfing programs or Bitcoin Akasi in South Africa, which already worked with kids. You add the Bitcoin tools onto that trusted base.
Okay, trust is paramount. What's third?
Third is traction. This was really practical. He said, start small but dense. Create ripples.
What does that mean, dense?
His advice was, focus on getting, say, 8 businesses on one single street using Bitcoin rather than 20 businesses scattered all over a city.
Ah, I see. Why?
Because then those 8 businesses can receive Bitcoin and then immediately spend it with their local suppliers or neighbors who are also on that street. That's how you kickstart the circular flow.
Creates a mini ecosystem right away. That's clever. El Zante was small, right?
Just 3,000 people, but it inspired a whole country. Small can be powerful.
Okay, fourth principle.
Technology. Keep it super simple, especially for beginners. He stressed it's totally okay to start with user-friendly, custodial Lightning wallets.
Get people using it first, worry about the complexities later.
Exactly. Get them comfortable, build confidence. Then, as they accumulate more value, guide them towards self-custody. Don't overwhelm them upfront. Empowerment, not intimidation.
Makes sense. Number 5.
Funding. His advice here was strong. Don't just give away Bitcoin. Create ways for people to earn it.
Okay, like work programs?
Yeah, or he mentioned literacy programs where kids earn small amounts of Bitcoin sats for reading books. It connects effort to reward, builds value.
That's great. And finding funders.
He said connect with funders who genuinely care about changing the world, not just metrics on a dashboard. They engage more when they see the real human impact.
Good advice. And the last one, number 6.
Marketing. He thinks this is often hugely underestimated. You need visibility.
Get the word out.
Yeah. Choose memorable names, Bitcoin Beach, Bitcoin Akasi, easy to say, easy to remember, and talk to everyone. Engage media, talk to podcasters. His line was, no publication is too small to talk to.
Share the story, inspire others, create that ripple effect globally.
Exactly. And Peterson wrapped up his talk with this really powerful idea. He truly believes Bitcoin wins, not through, big institutions, but by empowering lots of small, decentralized communities that demonstrate tangibly the value of money that the state doesn't control, proving that a permissionless financial system is possible and actually works better for people.
Wow. Listening back to both of those, My Primer Bitcoin and Bitcoin Beach, what really stands out for me is that constant theme, empowerment, and this really effective bottom-up approach. It's not banks or governments telling people what to do. It's individuals, it's local communities genuinely taking control of their own financial future. And the examples from El Salvador, they show this isn't just some nice idea, some theory. It's actually happening now.
Yeah, for me, it really comes back to that mindset shift Benjivar talked about, that idea that money is your time and energy.
Yeah.
And you have a fundamental right to control that without needing to ask anyone for permission. It's a really powerful concept. And these movements from, kids learning in classrooms to whole towns using Bitcoin every day, they're bringing that idea to life, one person, one community at a time.
So as you're listening to this, thinking about these stories from Bitcoin Seoul 2025, maybe consider this. How does really understanding what money is and seeing the power of a local circular economy, how does that change your perspective, your view on financial freedom, on your own agency?
Yeah, and maybe think about what small step could you take locally in your own life or maybe your community? A step towards a more empowered financial future, just something to reflect on.